So I'm making this video for everybody that's asking me about the stretch of the unfiltered jeans. This is a small that I have. Guys, I absolutely love this dress and the way it fits. I don't know. I think it's perfect with the gold accessories and the gold necklace. I did have on my zero accessories at first. It was really cute.
Begin tonight in Dallas County, where detectives are investigating the death of a mother and her little boy.
Seagoville police were called to a welfare check last week when relatives couldn't get in contact with them, and officers found the mother and son both unresponsive inside their home.
Janelle Ford just spoke with some of their neighbors and joins us live in Seagoville with what she's learned.
Well, Chris and Izzy, overall, this is just a very sad situation. The neighbors tell me that the mother and son were found dead in the garage of this home. You can see where someone's come and placed flowers out front. And tonight, investigators are working to learn exactly what happened.
First, you hear the screams. Then moments later, you see the first responders. They're heading 2 doors down to this home where 27-year-old Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son Deuce were found dead in the garage.
It was just mayhem. Everybody out here crying, screaming. The cops was out here, they taped it off.
Backus's family believes the pair died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Police are waiting on autopsies before confirming.
This was the most people I ever seen out here at once.
Dion Loggins' home surveillance cameras captured the chaos Friday morning. He'd just gotten back from his morning run.
I was concerned about the little boy, like, is he at school? Like, 'cause I know him and my daughter go to school right here.
Deuce was a first grader at Seagoville North Elementary. Monday, the school sent this letter home to parents, saying in part, "We extend our love and sympathy to their family at this time, and that they will have counselors on campus to help students and staff cope."
Where the little boy at, I was like, oh, once I heard he was gone, that's what it hit me the most. I was like, oh, wow. Like, he was just out here playing with my son, about a week ago.
Now Loggins is trying to figure out how to give his little boy the news.
It's just hard for me to have a 3-year-old son and have to tell him how he lost his first friend.
Friday was Lyric's birthday. She was a social media influencer. She had a clothing boutique and tens of thousands of followers. And across social media, tributes are pouring in, mourning her death.
On a day widely claimed online to be her birthday, 27-year-old Texas hairstylist Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son were found dead inside the garage of their Seagoville home. Within minutes of the discovery, social media timelines began filling with conflicting posts, some stating they were inside a car, others claiming the deaths were the result of carbon monoxide poisoning, and several insisting the tragedy occurred during what should have been a routine morning. These circulated claims created a wave of confusion long before official information was released. The case quickly shifted from a simple report of 2 bodies found to a complex situation filled with unanswered questions and contradicting public narratives. What was truly happening inside that garage? What events led a mother and her young son to be discovered in the same confined space, unresponsive and without immediate signs of foul play? Why did online accounts spread so rapidly with details that did not align with the statements given by local authorities? And how did the mention of her birthday become a central point in the public conversation, despite not being confirmed as part of the official investigation? This story begins at the moment those first conflicting details appeared, raising a single question. What happened inside that garage? And why did the early narrative spread before the truth was fully known? You're watching Crimelens Uncovered, where the spotlight of social media casts the darkest shadows. From TikTok phenoms and Instagram couples to Facebook influencers, we peel back the filters to reveal the crimes behind the fame. When the chase for followers turns deadly, we follow the trail to uncover the truth. These aren't just viral clips. They're stories of obsession, betrayal, and lives cut short. Subscribe if you want the unfiltered truth behind the trending hashtags, because by the time a story explodes online, the tragedy has already happened. Now let's dive in. 27-year-old Lyric Backus lived in Seagoville, Texas, where she worked as a professional hairstylist and maintained a routine shaped by her occupation, her household responsibilities, and the daily needs of her 7-year-old son, whose presence formed the central structure of her everyday life. Her job required regular client appointments, predictable scheduling, and ongoing interaction with individuals who relied on her services, placing her in a workflow built around consistency, time management, and direct communication. Public records identify her birth date as February 1996, confirming her age and establishing the framework of her documented life prior to the incident. Her household consisted of herself and her son, and available information portrays a standard single-parent structure with daily routines involving school obligations for the child and work-related duties for the mother. Verified sources do not describe disruptions within their household or provide details suggesting irregularities in their day-to-day environment. The information made public through obituary documentation and statements from relatives confirms a role within her family and community, but does not include private details beyond what is formally recorded. The structure of her personal life, as it is publicly known, involved managing work commitments, arranging childcare schedules, and ensuring her son's routine transportation and educational requirements were met. Their residence served as the primary location for their activities, and no verified reports indicate prior mechanical issues, environmental hazards, or structural concerns within the home. Publicly available information does not specify conflicts, personal disputes, ongoing tensions, or any form of external threat connected to either individual. Her professional life required maintaining tools, supplies, and consistent availability for clients, and individuals familiar with her would have primarily known her through this work-related role, as no additional verified personal or private background details have been disclosed by authorities. Her son's life followed the typical schedule expected of a child enrolled in school, including attendance, transportation, preparation routines, and time spent under her supervision outside school hours. Their activities, as far as confirmed records show, revolved around these predictable patterns without documented interruptions. No official information describes the internal condition of their residence prior to the event, nor has any authority provided insight into the presence or absence of environmental risks beyond what is being examined during the investigation. On the morning of February 9, 2024, Lyric Backus' birthday was expected to be a day of celebration, a moment to mark another year of life, surrounded by family and friends. Instead, it became the day her absence was first noticed, setting off a chain of events that would uncover a tragedy. Concerned family members and close acquaintances realized that Lyric and her son had not been heard from, and attempts to reach them went unanswered. Messages went unreturned, calls rang without response, and the usual signs of life were absent. The lack of contact immediately raised alarm. In ordinary circumstances, a missed call or a late reply might not provoke concern. However, in this case, the combination of her birthday and the uncharacteristic silence prompted immediate action. Friends and relatives, unable to locate her, contacted authorities to request a welfare check, expressing worry over the unusual quiet from both Lyric and her young son. It was this prompt from those closest to her that initiated the official response and brought law enforcement to the scene. Upon arriving at the home, investigators approached the property methodically, noting the silence and lack of activity around the garage and residence. Entering the garage, they discovered the lifeless bodies of Lyric and her son. The scene was contained, with no obvious signs of forced entry or disturbance. The suddenness of the discovery shocked those present, transforming what was supposed to be a day of joy into one marked by sorrow. The fact that this tragedy occurred on Lyric's birthday added a haunting layer to the case. What should have been a celebration became a point of profound loss. Every ordinary sign of life, the morning light, the routine sounds of a home, contrasted sharply with the reality that her day ended in silence. After the bodies of Lyric Backus and her son were found, law enforcement initiated a systematic investigation focused entirely on uncovering the factual cause of death. Officers first secured the garage and surrounding areas to prevent any disturbance of potential evidence. They conducted a detailed documentation of the scene, including measurements, photographs, and notes about the positions of both individuals and any nearby objects that could be relevant. Environmental samples were taken to detect gases, chemicals, or other hazardous conditions that might have contributed to the incident. Investigators then examine mechanical and household systems, including vehicles, exhaust sources, and ventilation within the garage, to identify any possible environmental hazards. Each appliance, vehicle system, and structural feature was assessed for proper functioning and safety compliance. Simultaneously, law enforcement reviewed available surveillance footage and digital records to confirm movement patterns within and around the property in the hours leading up to the discovery. Interviews were conducted with family members, neighbors, and other individuals who had direct or recent contact with the victims. The goal was to establish a timeline of activities, detect any irregularities, and identify factors that could explain their location at the time of death. Investigators cross-referenced statements and observations with physical evidence to verify consistency. Medical examiners performed autopsies and toxicology testing to determine if physiological or chemical factors played a role. The results were analyzed alongside environmental and mechanical findings to develop a comprehensive understanding of the circumstances. Officers confirmed that both Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son were deceased and that the case remained under active review. They specified that investigators were following standard procedures, which included scene documentation, evidence collection, and coordination with medical examiners, while noting that no official cause of death had yet been determined. Law enforcement emphasized that certain investigative details were withheld to preserve the integrity of the case and prevent misinformation from spreading. The investigation into the deaths of Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son remains open, with official authorities yet to release a confirmed cause of death. The scene in the garage was documented in detail by investigators, including the condition of the environment and the placement of objects, to determine whether structural or environmental factors contributed to the incident. The absence of obvious signs of intrusion or disturbance indicates that external interference was not immediately apparent. Analytical focus now shifts to environmental and situational elements that could have affected the victims. These include potential carbon monoxide exposure, mechanical or electrical hazards, and the overall condition of the garage space. While the family has suggested carbon monoxide as a possible factor, no publicly released toxicology or environmental reports confirm this. Investigators likely continue to review appliance function, ventilation, and other elements that could influence air quality within the enclosed space. The timeline of events leading to the discovery remains incomplete, and the gaps highlight areas still under review. Authorities are expected to cross-reference forensic, environmental, and medical data to establish a precise sequence of events. Pending findings will clarify both the cause and contributing factors. Unverified narratives on social media regarding the location of the incident or potential motives should be treated separately from official findings. All current conclusions are based solely on documented investigative procedures and verifiable information. In summary, the final analysis consolidates the confirmed facts. Both victims were discovered in the garage. There is no public confirmation of the cause of death, and no evidence of external foul play has been reported. Key remaining questions center on environmental conditions, the full timeline prior to discovery, and results from ongoing investigative and forensic analysis. Following the discovery of Lyric Backus and her 7-year-old son, public attention quickly focused on social media, where numerous posts circulated information that had not been confirmed by authorities. Some accounts claimed the deaths occurred inside a vehicle, while others suggested they happened on her birthday, creating a contrast with verified reports stating that both victims were found in the garage of their home. These conflicting narratives highlighted the speed at which unverified information can spread in the digital age. Social media users often shared posts without checking sources, resulting in confusion about the location of the deaths, potential causes, and timelines. Observers and commentators frequently discuss theories online, sometimes including details about the family or the circumstances of the deaths that were not part of the official record. What details stand out to you as most critical in understanding this case? What details stand out to you as most critical in understanding this case? If you were part of the investigation, which evidence would you prioritize to determine the cause of death? Drop your thought in the comment section. And that concludes today's case. But remember, this is just one of countless hidden stories waiting to be brought to light. Here at Crimelens Uncovered, we're committed to digging beneath the surface, giving a voice to those who can no longer speak, and making sure their stories are never lost to time. If today's investigation gave you new perspective, just wait. There are more cases coming that will shock, disturb, and challenge the way you see the world. So don't forget to subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on notifications, so you're always first to know when a new story drops. We release fresh investigations regularly, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Before you go, share your thoughts in the comments. Which part of this case resonated with you most? Your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay alert, stay safe, and remember, the search for justice always begins with the truth. Crimelens Uncovered, where every case finds its voice.